The West Somerset Yeomanry was a yeomanry regiment of the British Army. First raised in 1794, it participated in the Second Boer War and World War I before being converted to an artillery regiment. It served in World War II. Post-war it was gradually reduced in strength until the yeomanry lineage of the successor unit was discontinued on 9 November 1988. History, formation and early history. Under threat of invasion by the French revolutionary government from 1793, and with insufficient military forces to repulse such an attack, the British government under William Pitt the Younger decided in 1794 to increase the militia and to form corps of volunteers for the defence of the country. The mounted arm of the volunteers became known as the Gentlemen and Yeomanry Cavalry. The West Somerset Yeomanry was first raised in June 1794 as an independent troop at Bridgewater. George IV commissioned Lieutenant William Bellot of the 22nd Regiment of Foot to form the militia. Bellot was awarded captaincy of the regiment by brevet by the King upon its formation. 3 more troops followed in 1794 before being regimented in 1798 as the West Somersetshire Regiment of Yeomanry Cavalry. Despite the end of the Napoleonic Wars in 1815, the yeomanry was retained by the government for military service in aid of the civil power in the absence of organized police forces. The establishment of police forces reduced the need for yeomanry to be called out. The last occasion was during the food riots in Devon in 1867 when 112 members of the 1st Devonshire Yeomanry Cavalry mustered in Exeter. The unwillingness of the government to pay for the yeomanry led to many corps being disbanded in 1827–28. 22 corps were authorized to continue officially, and another 16 were allowed to continue to serve without pay. Serving without pay from 1828 to 1831, the regiment was never disbanded. Sometime in the 19th century, the regiment was renamed as the West Somerset Regiment of Yeomanry Cavalry, with headquarters at Taunton. On 1 April 1893, the troops were reorganized into squadrons. Boer War. On 13 December 1899, it was decided to allow volunteer forces to serve in the Second Boer War. Due to the string of defeats during Black Week in December 1899, the British government realized that more troops, in addition to the regular army, were needed. A royal warrant was issued on 24 December 1899, officially creating the Imperial Yeomanry. The royal warrant asks standing yeomanry regiments to provide service companies of about 115 men each. In addition, many British citizens volunteered to join the new regiment. Although there were strict requirements, many volunteers were accepted with substandard horsemanship, marksmanship. However, they had significant time to train while awaiting transport. The first contingent of recruits contained 550 officers and 10,371 men, in 20 battalions and 4 companies, which arrived in South Africa between February and April 1900. Upon their arrival, the regiment was sent throughout the zone of operations. The inscription, South Africa, on the regimental crest commemorates service in the Boer War. The regiment provided troops for the 25th Company, 7th Battalion Imperial Yeomanry, and sailed for the Cape in March 1900. On 17 April 1901, the regiment was renamed as the West Somerset Imperial Yeomanry and reorganized in 4 squadrons and a machine gun section. On 1 April 1908, the regiment was renamed for the final time as the West Somerset Yeomanry and transferred to the Territorial Force, trained and equipped as hussars. Its organization was, it was ranked as 33rd in the order of precedence of the yeomanry regiments in the Army List of 1914. when the order of precedence was being established. Inaccuracies in tracing its history led to a loss of precedence despite apparently serving continuously from 1794. World War I. In accordance with the Territorial and Reserve Forces Act 1907, which brought the Territorial Force into being, the TF was intended to be a home defense force for service during wartime, and members could not be compelled to serve outside the country. However, on the outbreak of war on 4 August 1914, many members volunteered for Imperial service. Therefore, TF units were split in August and September 1914 into first-line and second-line units. Later, a third line was formed to act as a reserve, providing trained replacements for the first and second-line regiments. 1/1 of a stone West Somerset Yeomanry. At the outbreak of the First World War, the regiment was part of the 2nd South Western Mounted Brigade. It mobilized on 4 August 1914 and moved to Winchester. On 15 August it moved with its brigade to the Colchester area. In September 1915 it was at Thorpe-le-Saucon where it was dismounted, still with the 2nd South Western Mounted Brigade. In September 1915 the regiment left Thorpe-le-Saucon for Liverpool. On 24 September it boarded RMS Olympic and sailed the next day. It arrived at Mudros on 1 October and on to Suvla Bay. The regiment landed in Gallipoli on 9 October and was attached to the 11th Division. In November it was in the firing line, attached to the 2nd Mounted Division and 53rd Infantry Division. On 19 December it was evacuated to Imbros. In December 1915 the regiment landed in Alexandria to help defend Egypt. In February 1916, 2nd Southwestern Mounted Brigade was absorbed into the 2nd Dismounted Brigade. It served on Suez Canal defenses and part of the Western Frontier Force. On 4 January 1917, the regiment was converted at Ismailia, Egypt to form the 12th Battalion. Somerset Light Infantry and 2nd Dismounted Brigade became 229th Brigade in the 74th Division. With the 74th Division, it took part in the invasion of Palestine in 1917 and 1918. It fought in the 2nd and 3rd battles of Gaza. At the end of 1917, it took part in the capture and defense of Jerusalem and in March 1918 in the Battle of Tel Assur. On 3 April 1918, the division was warned that it would move to France and by 30 April 1918 had completed embarkation at Alexandria. On 7 May 1918, 12th Battalion, Somerset Light Infantry landed at Marseille, France with 74th Division. It served in France and Flanders with the division for the rest of the war. From September 1918, as part of 3rd Corps of 4th Army, it took part in the 100 Days Offensive including the 2nd Battle of the Somme and the battles of the Hindenburg Line. In October and November 1918 it took part in the final advance in Artois and Flanders. By the armistice it was still with 229th Brigade, 74th Division, moving from Havens to Escalet, east of Tournai. 2/1 of a stone West Somerset Yeomanry. The 2nd Line Regiment was formed at Taunton in 1914. In January 1915 it joined 2nd Southwestern Mounted Brigade at Woodbury, and in September 1915, it moved to Essex. On 31 March 1916, the remaining mounted brigades were ordered to be numbered in a single sequence. The brigade was numbered as 2nd Mounted Brigade and joined 1st Mounted Division. In May 1916 it went to Norfolk with its brigade Brigade. In July 1916 it became a cyclist unit in the 1st Cyclist Brigade of the 1st Cyclist Division in the Beccles, Suffolk area. In November 1916, the 1st Cyclist Division was broken up and the regiment was amalgamated with the 2/1 of a Stone City of London Yeomanry to form the 5th Yeomanry Cyclist Regiment in the 2nd Cyclist Brigade, in Norfolk. In February 1917, the City of London Yeomanry was replaced by 2/1 of a Stone Hampshire Yeomanry and the unit was now 5th Yeomanry Cyclist Regiment. In March 1917 it resumed its identity as 2/1 of a Stone West Somerset Yeomanry, still with the 2nd Cyclist Brigade at Elmham near East Dereham. It remained in Norfolk until May 1918 when it went to Ireland with the 2nd Cyclist Brigade and was stationed at Athlone until the end of the war. 3/1 of a Stone West Somerset Yeomanry, the 3rd Line Regiment, was formed in 1915. In the summer it was affiliated to a reserve cavalry regiment at Tidworth. In July 1916 it was dismantled and attached to the 3rd Line groups of the Wessex Division at Winchester as its 1st line was serving as infantry. Disbanded in early 1917, with personnel transferring to the 2nd Line Regiment or to the 4th Battalion of the Somerset Light Infantry at Bournemouth. Between the wars on the 7th of February 1920, the regiment was reconstituted in the Territorial Army with HQ still at Taunton. After the experience of the war, it was decided that only the 14 most senior yeomanry regiments would be retained as cavalry, the rest were transferred to other roles. Thus on the 1st of June 1920 the regiment was transferred to the Royal Artillery to form the 1st Army Brigade (RFA). In 1921 this became the 94th Brigade (RFA) with just 2 batteries, 373 Battery at Taunton and 374 Battery at Glastonbury. On the 25th of January 1922, the brigade incorporated 2 batteries of the Queen's Own Dorset Yeomanry to form 94th Brigade (RFA), soon being renamed as 94th Brigade (RFA). This was a short-lived marriage. The Somerset Yeomanry batteries were moved to 55th Army Field Brigade (RA) in July 1929. They joined 2 Wiltshire batteries based in Swindon. Sometime in the 1930s, 374 Battery moved to Shepton Mallet. The final change in title came on the 1st of November 1938 as artillery brigades became regiments, hence 55th Field Regiment (RA). In 1939, the Territorial Army was duplicated. Existing units formed a second unit. On the 22nd of July 1939, 217 and 220 batteries transferred to the duplicate 112th Field Regiment (RA). 55th Field Regiment was now purely West Somerset Yeomanry. World War II field regiments were organized in 1938 into 2 12-gun batteries. The experience of the BEF in 1940 showed the problem with this organization. Field regiments were intended to support an infantry brigade of 3 battalions. This could not be managed without severe disruption to the regiment. As a result, field regiments were reorganized into 3 8-gun batteries. 55th Field Regiment (RA). 55th Field Regiment served in the Home Forces for most of the war, taking part in the Northwest Europe campaign from June 1944. At the outbreak of the war, 55th Field Regiment was part of 45th Division, initially commanding 2 batteries, 373 from Taunton and 374 from Shepton Mallet. The 3rd Battery was formed in the regiment at Barnsley on the 15th of November 1940. In June 1942, it transferred to the Guards Armoured Division, landing with the division in Normandy on D-Day +21. It fought throughout the Northwest Europe campaign with the division until the end of the war. 112th Field Regiment (RA) 112th Field Regiment served in the Home Forces for most of the war, also moving to Northwest Europe in June 1944. At the outbreak of the war, 112th Field Regiment was part of 43rd Infantry Division, initially commanding two batteries, 217 and 220, both from Swindon. The 3rd Battery was formed in the regiment.It on the 25th of March 1941. It was authorized to use the Wessex designation from the 17th of February 1942. It remained in the United Kingdom until June 1944 when it was deployed to France, still with the 43rd Infantry Division. It remained with 43rd Division until the end of the war. Post-war in 1947, the regiment was reformed as the 255th Medium Regiment (RA) with headquarters now in Yeovil. On 1 July 1950 it amalgamated with the 633rd Super Heavy Regiment (RA). On 31 October 1956 it amalgamated with 421st Coast Regiment (RA) to become 255th Medium Regiment (RA). In May 1961 it was reduced to battery strength in 250th Medium Rect (RA) as it amalgamated with 294th Field Regiment. In April 1967, this battery became B Company, the Somerset Yeomanry and Light Infantry, an infantry unit. In April 1969, the company was reduced to cadre at Keynsham. In April 1971, two companies were reconstituted from the cadre as A Company, 6th Battalion. The Light Infantry at Bath co-located with Battalion HQ and B Company, 6th Battalion, the Light Infantry at Yeovil. Finally, on 9 November 1988, company subtitles were omitted and the Yeomanry lineage was discontinued. In 2013 it was announced as part of Future Reserves 2020 that the Forward Air Control Troop, Royal Signals based at Bath would resubordinate from Royal Signals to become a Tactical Air Control Party battery within the Royal Artillery and become 255 Battery Royal Artillery. Resubordination to take place no later than December 16. On 23 September 2014-255 Tactical Air Control Party Battery Royal Artillery joined the British Army's Order of Battle as part of CVHQ RARA on 1 September 2015, which itself resubordinated to 1 Artillery Brigade on the same day. 255 TACP-BTY was formed from Forward Air Control Troop and remains based in Bath. The usual title of the new unit will be 255 TACP-BTY in recognition of the long lineage and proud history of FACTP, which provided tactical control parties consisting of forward air control trained personnel. It is one of the busiest and most highly tasked units in the Army Reserve. In the period 2003-2016-255, TACP-BTY and its forerunner unit, FACTP, deployed soldiers on operations to Afghanistan and Iraq and on exercise to Bahrain, Belgique, Canada, Czech Republic, Germany, Italy, Kenya, Kuwait, Oman, Poland, Qatar, Romania, Spain, UAE and the USA. It remains one of the most highly specialized subunits in the Army Reserve and one of the most highly motivated. During 2010, the unit was over 85% mobilized in support of operations in Afghanistan. The battery provides a total of 10 TACP and a small deployable HQ element that can form an 11th TACP. Each TACP consists of 2 certified and qualified joint terminal attack controllers and 2 specialist soldiers with communications and battle space management training who are also the team drivers. Battle Honours. The West Somerset Yeomanry has been awarded the following battle honours: Second Boer War, South Africa 1901, World War I, Somme 1918, Bapaume 1918, Hindenburg Line, EPE Acute HY, Pursuit to Mons, France and Flanders 1918, Gallipoli 1915, Egypt 1916-17, Gaza, Jerusalem, Tel Asur, Palestine 1917-18, World War II. The Royal Artillery was present in nearly all battles and would have earned most of the honours awarded to cavalry and infantry regiments. In 1833, William IV awarded the motto Ubique in place of all battle honours. Bibliography. Beck Major A.F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 2A. The Territorial Force Mounted Divisions and the First Line Territorial Force Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16712-4. Beck Major A.F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 2B. The Second Line Territorial Force Divisions with the Home Service Divisions and 74th and 75th Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16700. Beck Major A.F. Order of Battle of Divisions Part 3A. New Army Divisions. London, His Majesty's Stationery Office. ISBN 1-871-16708-6. Bellis, Malcolm A. Regiments of the British Army 1939-1945. London, Military Press International. ISBN 0854201106. 40. George, British Army Handbook 1939-1945. Stroud, Gloucestershire, Sutton Publishing Limited. ISBN 0-7509-14033-3. Frederick, J. B.M. Lineage Book of British Land Force 1660-1978. Wakefield, Yorkshire. Microform Academic Publishers. ISBN 1-85117-009-X. James Brigadier E.A. British Regiments 1914-18. London, Samson Books Limited. ISBN 0-906304-032. Milam, Patrick. The Yeomanry Regiments, 200 Years of Tradition. Edinburgh, Canongate Academic. ISBN 1898410364. Rinaldi, Richard A. Order of Battle of the British Army 1914. Ravi Rikai. ISBN 9780977607280. Westlake, Ray. British Regiments at Gallipoli. Barnsley, Leo Cooper. ISBN 085052511X.